just discovered that the property you paid with the help of your agent has a problem, and unfortunately, the law expects such disputes to be resolved in courts. And then you are in court for resolution with all opponents presenting their cases. Whoever you're in court with to resolve the disputes is about to present a witness against you. And as soon as the witness is called upon, guess who you found? Your agent. Your agent. I can imagine what you will be feeling. I've been through such a situation, and I can tell you that it is one of the worst betrayals you can ever get. Listen to me here. In real estate, agents can either make you or mar you. So you've really got to be careful about how you get involved with agents and sellers. In my last video on why people hardly invest in this sector of the economy, considering its huge potentials, profitability for investors, I made mention of a few things, and I would want you to go over by checking on the link to that video and spend your time to watch it. In that video, I gave a little insight to why I am running this show, and I would like to recap it here again today. Agency fraud in real estate as the reason why people are scared of investing in this sector is something you can never undermine. My experience in court when I had issues with one of the properties came to me as a shocking experience, and after all, I must say a lesson to be learned for life. And that's why I'm sharing this with you. And I am actually obliged to share these lessons as I grow older in this industry. Note that a lack of knowledge is strongly the reason why people perish. That's been said in the Bible and in other religious books. And I will say this fact is actually indisputable. No one is to be trusted when land matters are involved or property matters are involved. I say this strongly based on my own experiences. Among the chain of transaction, my decision to pick on agents today is without bias to the job, but with a sense of strong intentions to correct this misnomer. After all, I've been an agent and still remain an agent. But our lapses in most deals have caused not just pains to the victims, but also a loss of lives in many cases. Imagine someone who invested his last savings in the investment after working for about 35 years. And then all of a sudden, he wakes up to realize that he had just paid for something that is non-existent. How do you expect such person to start up a new life? How do you expect such person to live with that shock? Now listen, this may hurt a lot of people that are agents, but most importantly, does it save the larger society? Absolutely yes. And that's the idea why I talk about this. And before I jump into what I found out as the best ways to deal with this kind of problems, let me state categorically that there are absolutely good and great agents around. They're not all bad. Your job will be to find the right ones and deal with them. So let's take a look at the very many problems this kind of people in the chain of transactions bring to you. Number one, the unnecessarily high prices of lands. These do not only affect the buyer most times, who would have paid for higher than necessary for a piece of land. It also affects the sellers if they happen to meet with some wise buyers who would have done a valuation of such property using experts before making payments. Again, these agents, I mean the bad ones, usually align with fake sellers, usually positioning as owners of properties. And in this case, what they do is to use older men or women, knowing that people are easily convinced that older persons are really involved in scams. So you've got to be wise. They also steal from you directly. This happens to people who go into careless romance with the agents without knowing their backgrounds well enough. I've experienced it, but that's by the way. So let's go on. Some of them are not just agents interested in land transactions, but also on their stomach or body infrastructures. You must not let your guards down when dealing with them. Another problem is that they destroy your homes. It's no doubt that an element without conscience will ever know the importance of maintaining peace in a home. There are terrible agents who will take advantage of your closeness to inflict pains in your homes. You need to keep those ones you do not know so much of their backgrounds at distance from your homes. They can also attack you physically using diverse means, especially when they know your secrets or whatever that interests them. The bottom line here is you must let just a little about your life outside the transaction be known to them. These guys have a way of deceiving you into wrong deals by making it look juicy. For example, offering you a land deal that's ordinarily not within a price range for properties in that location. They may start by telling you that the family selling the property is damn broke, so they want to sell it at a giveaway price. Please don't be fooled by such gimmicks. I know this, just like I've always said, because I've experienced it firsthand. The bad ones are always about themselves. Be attentive here whenever you are dealing with them. It's not secretive because in this area, they don't seem to be that smart at all. So you must always think through your discussions with them. Importantly, too, the agent you're dealing with is just too much in a hurry to get the deal sealed. That's a very important sign to quicken you. The fact is, the bad ones are always scared you may change your mind. So they're always hurrying you up. They come with things like if you don't buy it fast, someone else wants to pay. Don't be carried away by these gimmicks. If you don't buy that one now, another one will definitely come up. But importantly, if you must buy it, do it with care. Because these guys are always in a hurry to move on to the next victim so they can close this chapter. After all, when the chips are down, it's you and the claimant of the land that will be left to go through the hurdles of reconciling the differences. And I bet you they would have been far away, sleeping and snoring with what they have made from the transaction. Another very important thing I have come to know about them is that they are highly connected with some very bad eggs in the law enforcement agencies as well as in the relevant land authorities. My experience here will shock you. I experienced this firsthand when I did a search report for one of the first properties I bought. You can imagine that the report given to me cleared me of any transaction on the line, whereas I was going into a deep shit that I didn't know. That's a bad one. Another one was when I went to Aegis to run a search, only for a young man who I paid went into their office and came out with the snapshots of the documents which rhymed with what I had in hand. How they fooled me till this day, it's quite surprising. I can't tell. But I must admit that these guys are really smart when they want to pin you down. Again, I went on to arrest one of the dealers, of course, one of the land dealers who scammed me, only to be called upon from a higher office to allow the man to go while I resolved the matter much later. I lost that money and the property until this day because the young man later died. The agent is freely walking about today and even laughing at me. Lastly, even though there is so much to know about here, but because of our time, let me round it up here and go on to give you my best tips to prevent this from happening to you. In rounding it up, these guys are easily convinced when money is on the table for them to go against you. They will come for you when easily bribed. That's simply what I'm trying to talk about. They will leave you hanging when the chips are down. They also usually don't have a base, so you better watch that out. They don't have an office. They can't show you their homes. They don't have a base. That's the simple truth. Now let's talk about some very important tips you should have in your head, your hand, and your mind when dealing with them. And I'm reading this out based on my own experience, and I want you to take this to heart. Number one, always secure written consent from them as a witness to your transaction whenever you're going into such deals with them. Make sure you get a lawyer to help you out. Very, very vital and important. We must use those two words. Number two, make your inquiry about them. Do a thorough search on them, their activities, antecedents, and whatever. You can get to know about them. Dig very, very well and deep before embarking on monetary deals with them. Number three, and most importantly, get a lawyer to draft a document that includes the agent as a witness. I already said this before, and it will continue to remain in your best way to hold them in case anything goes wrong. And number four, pay them well. This is important. Pay them well enough for the jobs they do. They are working for a living, so learn to pay the good ones well enough whenever you have a good deal sealed through them. Do not cheat them. Number five, carry them along in the process. Get them involved in the process even after concluding on the transaction for a while until you are satisfied that you have taken full possession of the property you had transactions through them with. It may not necessarily be getting too close, but once in a while, invite them to come over and share thoughts with you. They can be a great tool for you in the near future. And number six, teach them to be better persons. Always. Some of them are actually great listeners and learners. They also want to be great and wealthy people too. So teach them a few things to help them improve their lives. And finally, I hope I don't forget all the things. Finally, be kind to them and ensure to also have your lawyers stay close to you at every point in time as you run these transactions with them. I hope this serves. Do you have an experience you would like to share with us about your agents? Then let's hear your inputs as you leave comments in this section. See you at the next episode. My name remains Tim, and I am the founder of Trump Hills Real Estate International. Of course, the host for Trump Hills Estate Show. Bye for now.